It's the Acting Income Podcast with Ben Houck, episode 16, Nannying, Sketching, and Singing Backup to Fund My Acting and Music Careers, plus live music with Angie Atkinson.
It's the Acting Income Podcast with Ben Houck. Turn your passion into income. Ben will show you how with all the resources that you need to make it as an actor in an expensive city to stay balanced and make money. You really can't go wrong with actingincome.com.
Welcome to the Acting Income Podcast. I'm Ben Houck, and on this podcast, we cover anything and everything about earning an income as an actor, and that was today's guest covering the podcast theme song. This is episode 16, titled Nannying, Sketching, and Singing Backup to Fund My Acting and Music Careers, plus live music with Angie Atkinson. You'll find the show notes for this episode at actingincome.com/episode 16, and there you'll find links to everything referenced in today's show. Now, before we get started, here's a word from today's sponsor, my book, Longform Improv. If you can't get to the big cities to take a long-form improv class, my book, Longform Improv, aims to help. It's written with the novice actor in mind. In long-form improv, you don't have to be funny. You just have to find out what you want. My book will give you clear strategies for figuring that out, and how the rest of your improv group can help you too, as you try to get what your character wants in your improv scenes. That's mostly what improv is anyway. For more guidance, get my book, Longform Improv, at Barnes & Noble stores, download it for Kindle or Nook, or order it now from actingincome.com/LFI. Many performers don't fund their careers strictly from money made from their performing. In fact, many actors and singers have day jobs. Still, some actors and singers don't fund their acting and singing from strictly day jobs. Angie Atkinson, my guest today on the Acting Income Podcast, is one of those singers and actors. In my interview with this multi-talented singer/songwriter/actress, Angie goes over 3 of the things she does to make money, should you need ideas to do the same as a performer. And as a bit of an experiment, I asked Angie if she'd play some of her music live for the podcast. Happily, she agreed. You can hear Angie play in and around New York City, and you might see me at a concert of hers to boot. And as a little music bonus for you, I'm including something just after this interview, so be sure to stick around to get it. Here's a quick little bit about Angie. Angie Atkinson transplanted to New York City in 2009, but is a Mississippi girl of Virginian extraction. A country rock singer/songwriter/actress, her first full-length album, High and Mighty, will be released in the summer of 2015, following the release of her 2012 EP, Double or Nothing. She has performed regularly with her band around Lower Manhattan and Brooklyn for the past 3 years. Though her primary focus is music, she graduated in 2006 from Virginia Commonwealth University with a BFA in theater performance, and one of her favorite roles was Stella in A Streetcar Named Desire. And now, my interview with Angie Atkinson. Angie Atkinson, welcome to the Acting Income Podcast.
Thank you for having me, Ben.
I must say you are a dear friend, and I'm a little bit of a fan. I met you first as an actor. We did a play some time ago. I don't even remember what year. And I have since fallen in love with your music. I remember seeing you in concert. I think it might have been the first time I saw you live, and you did a Lady Gaga song. And from that moment, I call you better than Gaga.
Oh, I don't know that I deserve such lofty praise.
Tell me about your status as an actor and a musician. How does that balance?
Well, I admit that when I first moved to the city, it was more about acting, but the passion for the music just started growing a year or two in. And I admit that music has become more of the forefront, more of the focus, but I still act whenever possible. I do a lot of Shakespeare, and I also incorporate acting into my music videos as well. I go back to my acting background for every music video I make, which is, also an excuse to kiss cute boys like Ben.
Oh, yes. Actually, that's something we did in a music video. We kissed.
We did. To me, it's all storytelling, honestly. Being a musician and an actor, it's all just different varieties of storytelling. And I always parlay one into the other whenever I can.
Now, you're a storyteller that has to make money. And I take it that your music career doesn't completely fund your life, or does it?
It does not yet. While I do make some money at my gigs, I would still consider myself kind of in the red in terms of what I put out to promote and pay for that career versus what I'm bringing in from gigs and performances. Though I do get paid gigs, which is lovely. But New York is an expensive city.
How do you balance these two careers? How do you fund them? How do you fund the acting career that you have or maybe getting smaller? And how do you fund the music career that is getting a bit bigger?
I have some supplementary jobs. We call them day jobs because we actors and musicians tend to do our thing. We are nocturnal people often, but yeah, I have a couple of different day jobs. Some of them in my field directly, some of them not so much.
We're going to talk about one of those jobs right now. What is the first interesting job that you do? I think you actually came from that today.
I did. I just came from that just now. I am a nanny, which is an interesting balance because I will be upfront and say that my music is not so child friendly. My general aesthetic is fairly adult themed and not so safe for kids. At least I wouldn't play it for my kids if I had them. It's a little more grown up. So I take care of 2 kids 5 days a week.
How long have you taken care of these kids?
For 3 years now. So I've watched them grow up.
Have they been your only nannying job?
So far, I have had occasional side babysitting jobs, but usually just like one-offers here and there. This family is my primary source of income.
When I've heard actors take to nannying, I've just been baffled by the responsibilities seem way too much for an actor. How do you make that work?
Well, it's funny because in a way, it's a lot of acting exercise goes into it. You have to become a character of being, I am the most enthusiastic yet responsible person that you have ever known, little children. And you sort of put on a front of being positive and interested in everything that they have to say, but also very aware of everything that's going on with them and setting firm boundaries. It takes a lot. I have a lot of respect for mothers.
Maybe you get a day off? I mean, if you had an audition come up or a music gig that come up last minute, how does that work with nannying?
It's actually wonderful because I work for one family and because the family has gotten to know me so well. They're incredibly flexible with me about needing days to do music gigs or acting gigs. They're very understanding about it. And I think having the sort of artsy type personality they appreciate because it keeps the kids entertained. And so we kind of need each other. So they've been very flexible with me about taking days off, especially for artistic endeavors.
Are you familiar with how much nannies make on the whole in New York City or maybe in other places too? To give a sense of what kind of income someone might expect to earn if they were taking to nannying?
Of course, it all depends on whether or not the family needs you full-time or part-time. I myself started out at an hourly wage of $15 an hour, which was working fine in the beginning, but the longer I did it, the problem with my personal schedule with the kids is that I'm only with them in the afternoon, so it's very difficult to schedule work around it. In terms of where the hours lie in the day. It's from like 2 p.m. to about 8 p.m., give or take. The hourly wage that I was making was not enough to supplement the lack of hours I was able to get from other jobs as a result of that. And I found myself working 7 days a week and to pick up shifts on weekends, and it was miserable. So I asked for a raise, and they upped my salary by $10 an hour. So I now make about $25 an hour. I'm not sure. I feel like that's about comparable, though, with most of the babysitters, nannies. I feel like it's anywhere from 15 to 30.
Briefly on this topic, if there are other actors out there who are also nannies and they're interested in getting a pay raise, do you have any advice for fielding that? I imagine it must have been tough to get to that point. Maybe it wasn't.
That was the scariest email I've ever sent. It's a difficult thing, I feel like, for a lot of people to ask for what they need and what they're worth. It was a difficult email for me to send, but I just felt that I had to be honest with her because I couldn't continue at the rate I was going. And I mostly wanted to stay with them because I cared about consistency of care for the kids. I tried to just kind of put them in the forefront of my mind and then put them in the forefront of the email.
Oh, that's sweet. And I think that's a perfect segue into the first song that you're going to be playing for us. Tell us a little bit about this song that you're just about to play.
Oh, okay. So this song, it's called Ukulele Love Song. I wrote it after meeting a very interesting human being at the CMJ Music Festival in 2010. Just a very colorful human being that was so inspiring and played musical instruments with so much more talent and power than I can. My instrument is my voice, but he could play just about anything with strings on it.
And you're also holding an instrument. What is that?
I'm holding a ukulele.
Go ahead and start whenever you want.
So this is called Ukulele Love Song. I want to write you a love song on my ukulele bar. Will you play it so much better than I do? And But I can't enumerate it, all the ways that we related. You berated me for not doing the laundry right before you kissed me, 'cause you had to go and you didn't know when you'd be back to act on all these feelings, nearly shaken from not dealing with this well. And it seems that I only know 4 chords on my ukulele, but I'm doing just the very best I can to try to impress you and express with so much eloquence all the thoughts that I'm thinking. I'm not smoking, but I'm drinking Crown and Apple, grappling with my need to talk to you and dabbling in chemistry, the alchemy of serendipity, of what to make of all these feelings. Clearly, my sweet angel, only time will tell. And it's a long, long way from Devonshire to Sugar Hill. And I know it'll be a long time till I see your sweet face, but I know I will. Kindred spirits meet in the strangest places. Kindred spirits meet in the strangest ways. As I sit here writing you this love song on my ukulele, love, I can't help thinking that you think I'm mad, even though you said you like when I speak my mind. And you know that, baby, I don't mind the ooh, ooh, ooh. Like a parade of motorcycles, you're like something flying by me, far too fast, too beautiful. You called me normal, and you made me feel so much less alone. If only for a moment I was part of something bigger, triggering a chain reaction, conjuring a magic spell. And it's a long way from Devonshire to Sugar Hill, yeah. And I know it'll be a long time till I see your sweet face, but I know I will. Kindred spirits meet in the strangest places. Kindred spirits meet in the strangest ways. I wanna write you a love song on my ukulele, but well, dang, sugar, you just play it so much better than I do.
Ukulele Love Song. Gave me chills.
I'm so so glad. It gave me nerves. I'm used to having a whole band to back me up, so sometimes I feel nervous when it's just me and my uke.
Wow, I've seen you play live so many times, and you've shown me some of the lyrics to your songs before you've really played them live. And one of the things that really impresses me about your lyrics is the rich imagery that you communicate through words and song. But as I understand, you recently discovered that you have not only an uncanny ability to communicate imagery in words, but you also communicate it through, what, the pencil?
Yes, through graphite, sir.
This is another one of your interesting ways that you fund your acting and music careers, correct?
Yes. Well, let me give you a very brief backstory. Leading a band and having a music career and an acting career at the same time, it's very stressful. And the other day, I kind of had a little panic attack / nervous breakdown. And I thought, I need to be doing something to calm myself, to center myself. So I remembered that I love to draw. And I started sketching. I started out with just pictures of celebrities in magazines, just sort of sketching them. And I started taking pictures of them and posting on Instagram. I started sketching pictures of people in magazines and photos of friends on Facebook and posting photos of those sketches on Instagram. And I noticed that people started sending me emails and requests to have me do portraits for them. Oh, my goodness, someone said, this is amazing. Can I please get you to draw a portrait of my son, who's a friend of mine? And things like that kept rolling in. And I was like, my goodness. And I was actually pleasantly surprised by the amount of money that people were willing to pay me to do that.
How did they find out about your drawing? Your sketching? What is it? Sketching? Drawing? What is this?
I would call it portrait sketching, sort of realistic portrait sketching. I basically will just draw from a photo that speaks to me and just draw what I see and sketch with graphite and do 11 by 17 portraits of people. I posted photos of it on Instagram, and those photos not only posted to Instagram, but to Facebook as well. And so I have a pretty strong Facebook following. I'm a very active Facebook user. People saw them on my Facebook page and on my Instagram and sent me messages and sent me text messages and Facebook messages and said, oh my goodness, will you please draw me? Will you please draw my boyfriend? Will you draw my son? Will you draw my friend? And people wanted to give them as gifts. And so it was surprising and delightful to me how excited people were about that, because this was something that I just did because I was stressed out.
As of this interview, I haven't seen any of these sketches, so hopefully I can have at least one sample of your work in the show notes. We'll have to see once this comes out. I think that's so incredible that, I mean, I imagine there are plenty of people out there who will draw and maybe put something up on Facebook or on Instagram and, you know, no one thinks anything of it or goes, oh, that's nice. But how many of them go beyond that and say, please do me, or please do my friend, or I will give you money for this? Was that a surprise for you?
It was incredibly surprising because, again, it was just something that I did for pleasure. It was nothing that I ever expected to earn money doing. So I was deeply surprised that people were as interested as they were. I mean, of course, most artists are their own worst critics. And so I was like, oh, you know, it's fine. It's a picture I drew. But people were like, you should go pro. In fact, I will help you with that. Let me pay you X amount of dollars to do this portrait. And it was, like I said, it's more money than I've made as a musician per portrait.
Do you advertise this work now, or is it just all word of mouth? How would someone find out about your work?
I'm working on that right now. Like I said, other than just posting them on Instagram, I hadn't really stretched out into making it a legit thing. But since so many people are asking me now, I am about to put up a site on either DeviantArt or Etsy. You'll have to stay posted to Ben Houck. He will let you know. Whatever I do, whatever I end up using, whichever platform I end up using, it will be accessible through angieatkinson.com.
So you just found out about this skill that you have. How on earth do you price it, or how do you value it? Were you shy at first to price it, but are you becoming more comfortable? Has your value skyrocketed? What have you found out in terms of income?
The first person who offered to pay me for a drawing offered me upfront, before I had asked for anything, $200 for an 11 by 17 sketch, which, you know, combined total work in terms of hours I put in doesn't take me an immense amount of time. It stretches out over days based on what my free time is, but I thought that was a very generous offer for the amount of work that I'm doing and for the joy that I get from doing it. It's always a lovely thing when you can get paid to do something that makes you feel so good. That was where I guess I just considered that to sort of be my starting off point, because it does take, I'd say, at least a good 10 hours each drawing if I really do it right. I don't know. I felt comfortable with that. number.
Well, it's hard to walk away from $200, especially when you're trying to fund your career. So I congratulate you on finding this skill that people will pay for. I'm also happy that you're able to find something, too, that you also enjoy, and you're not doing it because it's just something you can do, but you don't care about.
Yes, exactly.
I think the imagery that surrounds you and your work is also just a great segue into this next song that you're going to be playing.
Yes, this song is called This Rolling Wave, and it is, well, this Rollin Wave with an apostrophe. It is a track on the album that I will be releasing next month. Sitting in a rainstorm under your blue umbrella, telling stories, laughing till we cried. You bought a yellow cupcake. I think you needed something to do with your hands. I guess it just got too real. You said, baby, it's been real swell, but I think it's time that we got off this ride. And I stared at the glass cases full of sweets, but only tasted bitter tears. Oh, well, there go all my plans. And it's not like I believed in happy ever after, but if I did, I'd want it to be you. And I thought we'd ride this rolling wave just a little more, but we crashed and burned and sizzled on the shore. The fact that you were so kind, well, it only makes it harder, but you caught me with my ardor open wide. And dang it, I knew better than to let myself fall head first into falling for you. You told me from the get-go that you just weren't ready, but in that moment, you still got misty-eyed. So at least I can take with me as I ache for all our yesterdays. You might be aching too. I miss our high teas and the low moans you made each time we touch. But I'm high and mighty and getting over you. So let's just ride this rolling wave for as long as we can. You don't gotta be my lover, but you'll always be my man. The parts of me I was afraid to let you see were rising with the tide. And the safer that I felt with you, the more that I was feeling terrified. We crested and you said it's best to let it rest, and honey, I let you decide. When I told you I'd be okay with not holding you, oh, I guess I lied. This tore me up way more than I ever could have imagined. I didn't mean to feel so much for you. And I guess it all comes down to time, and in the end, and I hope that, baby, you'll always be my friend. I hope you catch that golden train you're chasing after, and I can't wait to see all your dreams come true. Till then, let's ride this rolling wave into the night, and one way or another, everything will be alright. In a rainstorm, whoa, laughing till we cry.
Oh, more chills.
Ah.
I love that song. It's the lyrics in that one. I think you revealed those to me at a party once, and then I got to see it become a full recording. So cool.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Now, of course, you sing. And you're the lead singer of your band. You play more than just ukulele. You usually have a band with a drummer. You got backup singers. You got
bass and guitar and keyboards and all that mess. Yes.
and so it surprises me that while you're the lead singer of a band, you actually fund your music career by doing another kind of singing. What kind of singing do you also do to fund your music and acting career?
I sing backup in a band. I give little oohs and ahs for another band.
For just one other band, or is it for several other bands?
For one other band, but I am for hire.
How did you find that opportunity to sing backup on this band?
I was actually recommended for it. I have the distinct pleasure and privilege to work with a variety of talented musicians and playing out gigs, and there's a lot of overlap in the musician community. And so this gentleman who played bass for a woman who used to sing backup for me in her band, she had her own band and this guy played bass for her. He plays bass for this band that I am now singing backup with. They were looking for a backup singer, and this gentleman, his name is Carl, said, "Oh, just get Angie. Like, don't have auditions, just get Angie, because I know her and I've heard her sing and I think she'd be perfect for it."
And it's paid work for you?
It is paid work for me, which is wonderful.
That's great. It makes me wonder, you're the lead singer of a band and then you're going to sing backup in another band. Does your ego mess with you at all? I don't know how much of an ego you see yourself have, but you're suddenly in a supportive role rather than being a lead role. How does that work?
It's the same as with an acting job. You know, in one play, I'm the lead. In another one, I'm a supporting character. I'm still telling a story. I just am playing a different character in this particular story. The band that I sing backup for, it's a band called Cook. Robbie Cook is the lead singer, and he's the one who's the lead character of this story. So I'm just there to sort of supplement and support him. And it's not about ego. It's just about communicating whatever we're trying to communicate to the audience. So if I do that by singing oohs, or if I do that by leading my band and dancing around in my underwear on stage, you know, it's just two different stories, man.
If you're reaching out to other bands or looking for other backup opportunities, how would you go about pricing yourself and your talent? I mean, I imagine you're going to look at some bands and what kind of audiences they have or what kind of tickets they generate. How would you go about soliciting your work and valuing your work?
I would probably start with what I pay my band. I pay my band per rehearsal and gig. I think my asking price would be what I pay them. I feel like that would be a fair asking price. In fact, maybe even too much, because they are definitely probably harder working than I am. No, that's not fair. Backup singing is, I mean, you are basically playing a supportive instrument. It's just coming out of you and instead of externally.
What song are you going to be playing?
So this song I'm very excited about because this is actually brand spanking new material that you listeners of Ben Houck's fantastic podcast are the first ones to hear. This is unreleased, unperformed, unrecorded, just raw new stuff that I've been working on that I feel really good about and wanted to share with Ben.
Does it have a title yet?
It does have a title. The name of the song is Restless. 1, 2, 3, 4. Itching, patching, scratching in, is there anybody there? Any window bright with light still on? You see, I'm having trouble sleeping in too deep. I'm bearing down and drowning. Darling, harbor me into the dawn. The lover leapt, I followed, but he held on to the ledge and hung there helpless as he watched me fall. So if you don't mind the scrapes, I sure could use something to take the edge off. Be my gentleman and come to call. Oh, you can kiss and you can touch as long as you don't lie. Get real with me, I'm feeling restless. And I got to get him off of my mind. And I ain't got time to be dealing and feeling restless. I've tried dang near everything to give the pain what for. Whiskey, smoke, and other contraband. Reconnoitered every corner, nook and cranny, opened every door and came up empty, heart in hand. Now baptized by the tears in my own eyes, I'm starting new, letting go of what will never be. You see, he just won't enough, that don't mean I'm too much. I'll start with you until I end up only needing me. I am just so over crying, I just want to fly. Get real with me, I'm feeling restless, and I got to get him off of my mind. I ain't got time to be dealing and feeling restless. Here would be a guitar solo. I'm making it up as I go along, and it's so rad. Here it would be my guitarist being awesome. I haven't written lyrics yet, but this is how it's gonna go. Boom, boom, boom. Oh, get real with me, I'm feeling restless, and I got to get him out of my soul, 'cause I'm so over dealing and feeling
Restless. Awesome.
It's a little raw, but you know, it's a work in progress.
It's so exciting to hear your new works. Oh, and I can see them live at the first time.
We will actually be playing that song, I believe, if we can learn it in time, at our show at the Bitter End on June 11th, 2015.
That may have happened by the time this comes out. But that's good. You're playing live, and you play live a lot. You also have music for sale. If someone's interested in buying your music, where could they find it?
You can find it on angieatkinson.bandcamp.com. I also have a single up on iTunes, and the whole new album will be coming out on iTunes in June.
What song's on iTunes?
It's the first single from the album Friday Skin, the music video for which has over 18,000 views on YouTube now, which is very exciting.
Did you say the song is Friday Skin?
Friday Skin, yes.
Oh, gosh, I love that one. That's good. And if someone wants to find out more information about you, and maybe future show dates, where do they go?
Everything you can hope or want to find out about me is on angieatkinson.com. Show dates are listed there. Plus, it's got a link to my Twitter, Instagram, all of my social media links, some pretty pictures of me looking sassy. Everything you could want to get your fandom of Angie Atkinson started.
Angie Atkinson, thank you so much for joining me and joining us on the Acting Income Podcast. Thanks a lot.
Thank you for having me, Ben.
I recorded that interview with Angie on May 29th, 2015, and on June 11th, she debuted the live band version of Restless at the Bitter End in Manhattan. I was there for the concert and made a recording of Restless in its finished form. As a freebie, with Angie's permission, I've created MP3s of that concert performance, plus the acoustic song she played on today's show. I put them together as an exclusive for the Acting Income Podcast audience that you can download. To get those MP3s emailed to you, simply visit actingincome.com/Angie, enter your email address, then check your email. That link again for exclusive MP3 versions of Angie's songs is actingincome.com/Angie. And if you missed that link, it's also in the show notes. For show dates and more information about Angie Atkinson, visit her official website, angieatkinson.com. And that's the show. This episode was sponsored by the book Longform Improv by Ben Houck. Order your copy today at actingincome.com/LFI. The show notes for this episode are available at actingincome.com/episode 16, where you can also leave a comment on this episode. You can also find Acting Income on Twitter and Facebook. Rate and review this podcast on iTunes by visiting actingincome.com/iTunes. Pitch an episode idea by visiting actingincome.com/pitch. And if you'd like to sponsor an episode, check out actingincome.com/advertise. I'm Ben Houck. See you on the next episode. And for more information, as always, check out actingincome.com.